Hi everybody, Clay Manufacturing. This is Franz here. This is going to be a quick and dirty video of how I prefer to do engraving, whether I'm doing text engraving or getting like a logo in an SVG format and then engraving that logo. There's tons of ways to do this. There's tons of tooling to do this, techniques. I'm going to show you a very simple solution, and I'm going to use this block of aluminum which measures 2 by 2 by 1. It's just some random scrap I have. And I will say this is an incredibly easy scenario because this is so thick. So when it's thick, it's a square part. It's a very cookie cutter. This is more about how to do it in Fusion and how to dial in the depth when I cut it on my Haas Mini Mill. And I'm going to do that all in this video. So I have Fusion open. It's a brand new blank screen. The first thing I want to do that I want to save it. So I'm just going to go save, and this will be video engrave example. And so this is going to be my folder with my test cut, my test programs, whatever. We're going to go save. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Now the second thing is I'm going to create a component. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to right click and just say new component. And this will be, oh, come on, baby. Why is it? Computer was lagging. Fun. I'm going to say 2 by, why? We are still lagging. 2 by 2 alum block. Beautiful. Okay. So now I have my component. It's active. The next step I'm going to do is I want to sketch from the top plane. I want to, this is for a 3-axis milling machine, so the spindle is coming down, so I want all my detail in the top plane. And notice I have my Z-axis going up, X is going right, Y is going positive. I clicked on my top plane. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click on my sketch. And I originally clicked on the view cube just to square me up. I clicked on sketch, and now it wants you to select what plane are you sketching on. Since I'm looking straight from above, I'm just going to left mouse click on this. And now I'm in the sketch environment. I'm going to go to create, and then I'm going to go to rectangle, and I want to do a center rectangle. Left mouse click. I'm going to just click right there on my origin. So when I'm done, it will be fully constrained. Left mouse click and drag. And I measured my block. It's 2 by 2. So I'm just going to go 2. And on my keyboard, I'm just going to hit tab, and it'll hop to the next box. And now I want to do 2 again. So now I have my 2 by 2 box. I could hit E for extrude on my keyboard, and it'll hop me over into a solid modeling environment. Or I could do this long, annoying way and go finish sketch, and then come over here and then do extrude. But you can't really see my keyboard shortcuts, so I'm going to probably do the longer way most of the time. If you hear weird noises, it's because I got 2 dogs in here. It's raining really bad outside, so that might be why you hear weird noises. For the direction, I like to model around the origin. I'm going to go to symmetric, and I want to make sure the distance that I'm extruding is the whole distance. So if I put in 1 inch, the total extrude distance will be 1 inch. So I'm going to click on the whole distance. And then for the distance, we're just going to go 1. We are being laggy today. We're going to go 1. So now that whole distance is 1 inch. And I'm going to say, okay. Now the next is, what surface do I want to do my engrave on or my sketch on? We're going to do an SVG file. If you're doing text, it's the same way. So I'm going to right click. It's a similar way. I'm going to go in the sketch environment. I'm going to go create sketch. And now I'm going to find my SVG file. There's tons of ways, YouTube videos to figure out how to convert images and everything to SVG. So I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm going to assume you have an SVG, or if you're just doing text, you can come here and just start doing your text on here, and it's very similar. But we're going to do my clay logo. So let's go. I'm going to insert SVG. I'm going to go insert from my computer. I already have it here. This is my clay logo that I'm going to do. I'm going to left mouse click and say open. And you see this comes in really big. and it's rotated around. So I'm just going to first, I'm gonna swing this sucker around so it doesn't make me crazy. 180 degrees, perfect. And now right here, this is where I can scale the image. So I'm gonna start scaling this puppy down. So I left mouse click on it, I'm dragging in to the upper left of that square. Words are confusing for me. All right. And now this this white box, I'm going to left mouse click just to drag it here to try to size it up. I'm not going for accurate dimensions or locations. This is just quick and dirty. I'm going to drag it here. I'm going to left mouse click on here, and I'm going to scale it up a little bit. So I'm dragging to the lower right hand corner, and then I'm going to move it. I'm just going to play with that. And now down here, like if you did a chamfer around the box, and then depending on your engraved depth, it might be getting close. So let's just scooch in a little bit. Oh no. I'm trying to fine tune it. All right, that's going to be good enough for, I'm going to grab on here and just drag it down, and that's going to be okay. I like it. Now I will click OK. And this is my sketch. Now I don't have to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and delete all these exterior lines. And if you notice, there's also this little radii right here. So I'm just going to do these. I'm going to go left mouse click. Oh, I don't know why my computer is being so weird right now. I'm going to left mouse click, and I'm going to go click. Oh my gosh. What did I do? This is not cute. That is super frustrating. This is, so I don't know how this happened. I'm going to go window selection 1. So somehow we're going to go window selection 1. It was like trying to draw. Let's see if this fixes it. There we go. That's what I want. I don't know why I was being weird. I want to use a box. It just makes it easier. So I'm just selecting those, and I'm saying delete. And then I'm going to create my box again, go delete. And I'm just deleting these exterior lines that I don't need. Delete. So I've just cleared all that out. It's just going to be less confusing for me later down the road. So if you need to see that again, somehow, I don't know what I did. Maybe you saw it along the way. Somehow I went to freeform selection. I wanted to do the box. It's just easier for me. It's what I'm used to. It's what I prefer. It doesn't mean it's the best way or right way or wrong. It's just what I like. All right. Finish sketch. Boom. We're done. That's the extent of this part. Now we need to go to our modeling environment, and before, or the manufacturer environment. We are in design. I'm going to save my file. Now I'm going to go over to manufacture, and we are going to do a setup. This is going to be a very simple setup. I'm going to go setup, new setup, and I already know the exact dimensions of my box. I'm not doing any side milling, so I'm just going to go straight over here to stock. I'm going to go from solid, and it wants me to select what solid are you doing. I'm going to left mouse click on here. There is my solid. That, and then for this example, I'll put my work coordinate system on this back left corner. So I'm back to setup. It's on stock box point. Let's see if I can drag that open. Stock box point, and I'm going to click here. And you just want to make sure your Z is going up positive, your Y is going away from you positive, and your X is going to the right positive. And that looks good. I'll say OK. And now this is where I'm going to do a 2D trace. I'm going to go 2D, and this is, if I'm doing text, I also prefer this versus engrave. There's engrave right here. I always have weird issues with it. I don't use it too much, so that could also be my problem. My default is going to trace. So I go trace, and then we're going to go to my Mini Mill library, Clay Mini Mill. For me, and so here's another like preference. I prefer an 1/8 inch ball and mill for most of the engraving that I do. It gives you a nice crisp transition from your top plane to your engraved geometry. You can also use drill bits. You can also use engraving tools. You can also use a chamfer tool. A lot of people will use chamfer tools. A lot of people use ball and mills. What I've noticed with a chamfer tool, if you go much deeper than like 3 thou in depth, you'll get a burr right on the edge, right on the transition. It's kind of like a little furry burr, and you can use your fingernail and scrape it off. But if you're doing lots of parts, it can get annoying. And it can depend on the aluminum or material that you're doing, how gummy or not gummy it is. But I've had a lot of success using an 1/8 inch ball, where if you say you machine something, you send it off to anodize, you bring it back and you just want to engrave a logo in it, it will leave you a nice crisp edge. So that's what I prefer. There's a lot of ways to do it. So I will select my 1/8 inch ball end mill, and I will go select. My defaults are 6,000, so that's as much as my spindle can go. Really, if I mean, I would spin it as fast as you can. So 6K RPM, I'm just going to go at a linear feed rate of 15 inches a minute. Geometry, it's as simple as, let's see if I can do this. I'm going to, no, I don't want, I'm trying to do I'm just going to go through and select this. I was trying to see if I could do a box. If I can select it easier, shoot it in the comments, because I am going the slow way apparently. So I'm just going through here clicking. I'm sure this part's really fun to watch me click all these boxes. I'm sure there's a simpler way to select it, and I'm failing you right now. And then let's say you selected something and you're like, ah, shoot, I didn't want to select that. I'll just left mouse click on it, and usually it lets you get rid of stuff. It depends what when I'm doing like an adaptive or a contour, usually you can just left mouse click on it and it'll deselect it. That one I actually had to do throw it away. So I do want that one. Now those are all selected, and then we're going to go to heights. I leave all these defaults unless you're trying to speed up your machine time where it's not in the air so much. You can get it closer, like rapid, closer to the workpiece. For this, I'm not concerned about time. Axial offset. So this is what I use to set the depth of my engrave. The axial is under the tool, and I just start out very shallow. I'm going to go negative 0.001. We're doing 1 thou. And then later on the control, when we run it, if we want to go deeper, I'll do it on the control. You could even leave this at 0, and then on your control, you could run it. And I'm going to do smoothing and leave my default feed optimization. I'll say okay. So that is really it. Let's see. There's a few things I probably skipped over. Dang it, they were just in my little brain. But this is what I will use to do the simulation. And I will, like I said, I'll go on the control. I'll run it. If I want it deeper, I'll do it. Now, if you're using thin material, face mill. So this is I'm not going to do a face mill pass. This is just for demo. But if you're doing thinner material and you're doing facing operations, you would want to do your facing operation first, come back, and then do your engraving. Or some tricks I do too is I'll do a facing operation, still leave a little bit of stock, then I'll do engraving. Like if I'm using a chamfer tool that I know will leave a burr, I'll do engraving through the stock to leave to my correct dimension that I want. Then I'll come back again with a face pass and then just knock off all those burrs so I don't have to do anything by hand to clean it up. So that's another way to go. But usually you want to leave engraving until you've machined the surfaces and they're nice and flat and they're still clamped in the vise. Because once you unclamp and clamp, now you're flexing that material, and we're not working with a whole lot of depth. Like 1 thou is usually just enough. So if you're flexing your part more than 1 thou, like you're going to see deviations or highs and lows in your text. And then like our coaster one, so let's say you machined this out, you took it out of the vise, you went and got it anodized, you came back and clamped it. This is so thin that when you clamp it in a vise, this is going to bow up a significant amount in that vise. And then when you touch off your tools, however you do it, if your Z is up here, down here, it's going to have like a 7 thou difference from here to here, depending on how much pressure you put on that vise. And if you have a Kurt vise, it's very easy to bow this a ton. I showed you how to bring in an SVG file and create a tool path. And you can use all sorts of different types of tools. I prefer using a ball end mill. And I created my model. If I click on here, this is my X, this is my Y, and this plane right here is my Z0. We're only going to go down a depth of 1 thou, negative 0.001 on the axial. And then if we want to go deeper, we're going to come over here on my offset on T7, and we'll drive it down deeper over here using a length wear. And that's real common if you're using a chamfer tool. Say you have a broken chamfer tool, you'd put a positive value in here, you'd back it up, you'd run it, see what your chamfer looks like, and if you need to go deeper, then you add negative values here to start driving it down to hit your precise chamfer, or if you're trying to hit a nominal size if you need to flip apart. So let's kind of go over. This is my ball end mill. I use a tool setter to set all my tools here. I use my Heimer to touch here and find the difference between here, and this is my zero plane. And that's just how I touch it off. Some people, they'll just touch everything off of your workpiece. I don't like that method, but people, you can do it. And let's see what else. So yeah, we're not gonna do a face pass. This is a big, thick chunk of aluminum, so there's not much flexing going on. So you're gonna do it and be like, oh, I'm a genius. I'm an engraving genius. But thick material is relatively easy. If this had saw cuts on this surface, I would do I would do a face cut and then engrave it. But we're gonna try just engrave right on there without any cleanup. So let's do this. To post my program, if you don't see the yellow box or your work coordinate system, I do one click on here. And then now you see the yellow box in your work coordinate system, then you do actions, post process, and on here, I use the Haas pre-NGC. And I won't change this number, but I'll change my file name, and I'll change my comment, and then this is just the folder you're outputting it to. I'm not gonna post it, and I would come down here and go post if I was trying to post it, but I've already done that. I've already ran it through my graphics. It all worked out in my graphics, and we are going to run it. So I go memory, I do optional stop, and then I usually will play with my rapids. If you're just starting out, I recommend 5%, but I'll be going back and forth between 25 and 50 if I gotta do tool changes. Let's rock and roll. We have our program. When this is white, it means it's live. And I'm going to put my camera in there, but let's get it going. So I'm gonna hit cycle start. As soon as I hit cycle start, then I'm just gonna hover my finger over feed hold. Don't hold your finger, use two hands to hold over both of these until you get very confident, because chances are you're gonna forget which one is which if a crash happens. So I'm gonna go cycle start, and I hit feed hold. So when you hit feed hold, that stops your linear feed movement. I'm gonna turn my coolant off. I'm gonna hit this button, but you notice the spindle is still spinning. To stop my spindle, I could go stop. And I have the coolant on there. I'm gonna leave that on there, and then I'm gonna put the camera in there. But as soon as I hit cycle start, it will pick up the RPM where you left off and the linear feed. To turn coolant on, you have to manually turn it on. But I'm gonna turn it off for this because I'm gonna put my phone, and hopefully I don't get anything messed up. So let's try this. We are going to plop you right here. Please don't mess up. And then I don't know if you can hear my audio now through my glass, but we're gonna try. I'm gonna do 25%, cycle start. And then I'm gonna do a feed hold. I'm looking at my position. I'm gonna stop my spindle right now, actually. I go to position, and then I go to program. So I'm gonna cursor on over. And this Z value, almost 3/4 of an inch, that's how far from the tip of my tool to my the top of my my Z plane, that the tool should be. I've been doing it for a while, so I can tell that's about 3/4 of an inch. If it's off plus or minus 10, 20 thou, you're not gonna catch that here, but you'll catch major crashes here. So let's pop you here, and we are going to try this. This is at a 15-inch linear feed rate at 6,000 RPM, which is my max spindle speed for this. And you could play with your plus or minus 10% feed if you wanted to. We're gonna look at it now. Let's move you. I'm just seeing what we're doing. Cool, so that's looking nice. You can see it's engraving, that's only 1 thou. And let's put you back. Actually, I'm gonna shoot a little coolant on it. This video's starting to run longer than I want.
We're gonna splash some coolant on it. I don't want my phone getting splashed with coolant, so. Alright, I think that's good enough. Good enough for free internet videos, right?
All right, here we are. I have gone down another 1 thou, a negative 1 thou, and you can tell it's much deeper in the middle. It's going to be deeper on the ends as well, but it kind of cleaned that up in there, and that is just another negative 1 thou. And I added I subtracted the thou right here at my length wear column. You might have different values in here, like like I have 1 and 2. That's how I set up my tools, but I did the negative thou there. And in my program, I had negative 1, so that's a total of about 2 thou without using a face mill. Hope this helps. Have a good one.